Thank you everybody for joining. This is part 5 of a 5-part series related directly to Decentraland and SDK development. You can look at the YouTube channel to find more of the other segments of this section. The first session we covered just Decentraland in its entirety, or as much as it could be covered in 2.5 hours, I think. The second session, we looked at the SDK and how to get onboarded into this world and how to start to familiarize ourselves with some of the concepts that Decentraland uses. The third session was a little bit more in depth in those areas. The fourth was last week, which we went over 3D models in Decentraland and how you might want to structure the creating of your models and some of the particulars. So if you haven't seen any of those things or any of those things interest you, just please go review the previous sessions. Today's session is going to be specifically focused on community, or particularly organizing people together in a way, like obviously in Decentraland, it's very rare for someone to be able to do all of the modeling, the programming, and all of the various things that are needed to do a successful Decentraland build. So we're here to kind of network and get together in order to make things in Decentraland a little bit easier for us all. So there's a section called the job fair where we've broken it down into SDK development, which is what we covered in session 2 and 3. 3D design, which is the fourth. Front-end web development is very important in Decentraland, I think, as well, because we usually want to stand up websites that point to various Decentraland places. There's also a lot of supportive services that you can create for Decentraland. So marketplaces are very possible in there, maps and all these other interesting ways. As long as you know what to do with the APIs, you can build anything. So we have front end in there, and we have graphic design, because these things all do need to look pretty in the end of the day. So that will also probably include any of the 2D UI that is also in Decentraland as well, which is really, really important, I think, for the overall experience there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple people within the community that are just, gold standards. They do a whole bunch of various things. We'll go through them individually, but we're going to start off first is with Jess Gross, who's she goes by the DCL tour guide in DCL. She's a news reporter, and she's going to kind of talk to you guys a bit about how she's helping to foster the community from within Decentraland itself. So I guess we're just going to pass it off to Jess to start, and then we're going to move on to 3 other people. But I think I'll introduce them individually as we get there. Jess, do you mind sharing your screen and introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm doing that right now. Hello. Sorry. Welcome to Decentraland. So, as you know, Decentraland's more than just a virtual world. The world is actually ours. What this means is every inch of virtual land is owned by an individual, a company, corporation, or even some celebrities. DAO voting allows you to vote in the changes made in Decentraland, including funding for different grants. To expand your wardrobe beyond the defaults closet, you could purchase them from your peers in a marketplace similar to OpenSea. And you could also sell them on OpenSea. This gives you the opportunity to rock your attire, resell, or create a brand of your own. The choice is yours. The games are built on existing plots of land, are fun for the users, but also for businesses. Many aim to create play to earn benefits. So it benefits both parties. And so which this means is by participating, you'll be rewarded into real monetary benefits. You can create your own club, gallery, lounge, event, digital storefront. There's actually an Amazon store that actually exists. It's like a paint by numbers, and then they have it up on the wall. It's pretty cool. Oops, sorry. Okay. The Decentraland report. That's We're a media channel that reports on Decentraland news, proposals, events, drops, openings, different games, NFTs, and the community. Kevin on her Earth is the founder, and he usually does his NFT Tuesday, which is a scavenger hunt in the metaverse. He also does, reporting of his own, like described above. I'm gonna be taking over on Thursdays at 5 p.m., but it's a decentralized report, meaning each reporter has their own channel and we host our own content. We come together on YouTube though. We cut editing the content together, and also by each of us promoting each other. So it's really fun. I'm meeting a lot of people in the community. We're all gathered together and having fun with each other. Great place to network, reach out to other people, and it's a good time. So reach out to me if you have any land that you want me to cover in one of our streams, which will, it'll provide a place where people could come to get to know you and what you're all about. And it's a form of like promotion. So it's really good. So it'll help like get the word out there. It's not like about shilling. It's more about like, you're enthusiastically like sharing what you got. So I don't know what else to say. Sorry.
I like it. It's like a show and tell of sorts. There's also every day of the week there's a new event or a new live stream on
Yes.
the
Yeah. Each reporter has their day and time slot. So on Tuesdays the NFT Tuesday, but we're just like covering different parts of the metaverse, just like discovering it together, exploring, and yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Jess. Can you post a link directly to the Twitch channel or any other resources directly into the chat?
Sure.
We'll be sure to add those to the repository as well.
Sure.
Okay. So if you want to, you can stop sharing if you wanted to. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Jess. Does anyone have any questions for Jess before we pass it off to Will? There'll also be a question segment later as well. So, I think all mics are off, so we'll wait till then, I believe. Sorry. So the next presenter is Will. Will is a very accomplished smart object developer in Decentraland. So he makes wonderful smart objects and pulls them into the builder, where more, other users are just able to download these and pull them into their environment without having to know anything about coding. So, Will, would you mind sharing your screen?
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yep. Yes, again.
All right. Yeah, I've been developing smart items, just trying to make things easier, let scenes be more dynamic. So I was going to cover what a smart item is. This might be there's a little bit in here for everybody. I go into the what a smart item looks like from the SDK part, and then kind of how it manifests in Builder. So if you go into Builder, there's like 250 smart items. This is a screenshot of some, not all of them. Some of them are pretty good. Others are a little glitchy, but they get the job done. I have a link here. You can go where they commit them if you wanted to browse the code. They're also using these is a great bootstrap. If you know that, for example, you wanted to do like a chest, but you wanted to change the model, you could go and download theirs, tweaks to it. It gets you going faster that way. What are smart items? There's really two things that kind of sum it up. It's code that's coupled with a model that can be used in Builder is the first one. And then two, it allows people to make dynamic scenes without knowing the SDK or how to code. So here's a screenshot of what a smart asset is in Builder, it looks like. So you have these like configurations that you can do that allows you to not only just have like a static model, but you can then set its default state as well as like when it's clicked on what it should do. This is the SDK portion of it. I have a link down here that talks about the development guide, and I didn't want to rehash that, so I kind of just grabbed some bits that I felt were rather important. If you're familiar with the SDK, Smart Item doesn't look much different than any other game, really. The difference is you'll have an item TS instead of a game TS. You actually use the game TS to test your item, just like you would your normal game. But the syntax and whatnot it's not pretty, but you can get examples, plenty of examples from that GitHub from Decentraland Smart Items. The asset JSON is the key part that allows you to define the interface in Builder. So here you can see that I'm giving, this is one of those out of the box smart items. Give it a name police car, and then it'll manifest as the name police car in Builder. You can say what the default model is. This is helpful because your model might not be even visible when it's truly rendered. So you want to give a representation. A lot of times you can just use the model that you have that's going to be interacted with, but sometimes that doesn't work. For example, if you have an invisible wall, you'll need a substitute model so it's visible in the editing side of Builder. You can use tags to kind of help you find it in that sea of assets that are out there. And then parameters, again, these are things that are configurable that then get manifested in the configuration portion of it. And that'll, again, show up in Builder. Next is the core pieces that make up item TS, which is the name you have to name it for it to hook into. But in short, you have to implement a interface called iScripts. You must define an init, which is called one time. You must implement a spawn, which is more or less creating your smart item per time. So if you drag that smart item onto the screen 2 or more times, it'll call that as many times as you have. And then you can it makes use of the message bus, which I don't know if it's probably been covered in other talks, but the message bus is, the message bus is actually wrapped in a channel interface part of Builder scripts, which is something that was wrapped to kind of make smart items encapsulated and not really know there's a message bus there. But the idea is you can then, when you click, if you can handle a click event action of like enabled or disabled. And then this request and reply is the setting up the initial value. So if a user joins the scene after somebody else already kicked off a few things, it syncs the states. It's probably been mentioned, but I'll say it again, that the message bus doesn't have an authority, so it can be glitchy at times. It also, if everybody leaves the scene, it doesn't remember state. But while everyone's there, it's great to have a synchronized state so that everyone sees the same thing. This is what I jumped ahead. I'm going to go back into Builder in the browser after this and kind of show you around. But this is what happens after you've created a scene in Builder and clicked download. So this is a screenshot of what a download looks like. These hashes here, or I think they're UUIDs, are smart items, and it looks just like an SDK thing. The difference is there's this builder.json, and in the documentation it talks about how you can export out a Builder and start doing SDK development, but you can't go the other way. So that's kind of like where smart items kind of bridges that gap a little bit, because you can iterate on smart items, and as long as they do what you want, you can kind of stay in Builder as long as you can. I prefer that just because I'm not great spatially in coding wise. So placement of things like dealing with position, rotation, scale, I can't visualize it in my head. I have to do it, and Builder lets you do that. But this is kind of shows you how it's obviously generated. So like a script 3, it's arbitrary name, everything gets bundled inside of a scene. This is an example. I used an indicator arrow smart item. So notice it has those components I mentioned. It calls script 3 init, script 3 spawn, and these are these parameters that you configure to make it more dynamic. Smart item limitations is you can't use any external dependencies. Like if you're using the straight SDK, you could say in the package JSON, it depends on other stuff. And it just import those libraries and you don't have to keep them. But in smart items, at least their current manifestation, they are not allowed to have any dependencies, so you must embed the libraries. I have asterisks here because, well, one, that's important to know. So if you wanted to use the libraries that are provided by Decentraland Foundation, like the NPC utils or any the @C utils or scene UI, you have to download them off of GitHub and put them into your smart item. It bloats the smart item, but that's what you got to do. I have seen someone's using Webpack in a real clever way to kind of take away that pain where you tell Webpack your dependencies and it'll build a single bundle, and then you don't have to download them into your repo. I haven't figured out how to do that, but I've seen it done by Pablo, the guy that does Voxters. He's done that. The other thing I want to call out is Builder is legacy now. They have an in-world builder that is beta that they want to eventually replace the current builder with. And because of that, the current builder, or the legacy builder, is running on an older SDK, which is important to know just because it's a little glitchy. And it eventually will be sunset once the in-world builder is fully functional. And that also leaves smart items in a little bit of a weird place because smart items were designed to work with legacy builder. And I've spoken with a few of the DCL Foundation guys. They can't commit to saying anything, but they have said that they like smart items because of the dynamicness, my number 2 item, the dynamic functionality that it gives users without having to do SDK work. However, it'll probably get major rev and the innards might have to be reworked to support the in-world builder whenever that supports smart items. Or they may not support it. They don't know yet. In-world builder is still in beta, and it currently doesn't support smart items. So the only way you can do smart items is in the old one, which I'm not a fan of. I wish I knew which way they were leaning so I could stop working on smart items if they're going to abandon them or not. I don't think they're going to, just from conversations I've had with them. Scenes that have been built 100% with smart items in Builder. There was a cyberpunk contest back in April. I was the first place winner. This is a screenshot of it. Everything you see here was done 100% in Builder using all out of the box. This was kind of where I cut my teeth and learned the ins and outs of everything. I have a link to it. It's in the scene pool. I also did another contest with, it was a third-party guy, Pablo, the Voxter guy. He did a Voxter contest, and I did one with that. That one I used custom smart items for. So I can post the links. The links are also all at the end of this presentation. If you wanted to take a look and see what's capable. There was a lot of hackery I had to do to get 100% smart item scene builder with a mini game of sorts. If I did it in the SDK, it probably would have been faster. These are the links. And does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Will, Nico here. That was a really nice introduction. And by the way, I didn't know it was you who built that great scene from the game jam. That was really impressive how much complexity and levels to things you had going on there, all with the smart items.
I can demo it. I'm proud of it. I'll demo it right now. It's actually deployed in Etheria, if I'm saying that right.
Right. Yeah.
And it's only guaranteed to be there for a year until they take it away. Because it's sitting on it's got free rent for the year, so to speak.
Mm.
But yeah, I put a mini game into it, and it was pretty well.
They got plenty of land. I mean, I wouldn't fear them overriding it so soon. I mean, they got plenty of space to spare.
Right, they're huge. They're the largest district, I believe.
Yeah, by far.
So this is the scene. If it renders, I can walk in real quick and show you. Give it a second. But so like this is all smart items out of the box from Builder. So the cars moving is a thing. You've got gates. There's invisible triggers. So when I walk past this, these pillars will shrink, and you'll get a message, the power went out, and then that's the game. You have to go solve the power outage problem with some puzzles and whatnot. Quickly in Builder, oops. So I'll show you quickly some other smart items. I've been working for or helping the MetaCity DAO out, and I've created some smart items because Charlie, he's not a developer and wanted to like embed some things. So I created like I took them from the Decentraland Awesome repository, the firework scene, and then the piano scene, but I turned them into smart items. So now I can configure things like turn the sound on. I can change the color of the keys. A bunch of configuration that it was a lot of work. It would have been faster to use the SDK, but then Charlie could just drag this thing around and get it working to fit his model. So if I render it, you can see the keys are activating, and then I can launch a, oops. I can launch a firework.
Very cool.
And then
I just wanted to say something about like the support of smart items. You mentioned before that, yeah, like it's a kind of a weird situation in which they're in, because like with the in-world builder, things might need to change, but then again, like we love smart items. I mean, I personally built at least half of the ones that are out there, not the models, but the code. So I'm like really keen on having them still exist, and I absolutely would do anything to avoid having to recode all of them, because that would be a nightmare. So like I'm gonna really push strong so that these keep working as they do now in the new builder as well. Because yeah, there's absolutely like a huge like use case to this. I mean, there's a whole set of creators who, I mean, they don't have the skills to use the SDK, or they don't have the time to dive in deep enough to use the SDK properly. And yeah, smart items are like, they can enable a lot of stuff. And we want to make them even more powerful and expand their possibilities a lot as well.
To add to that, the iteration that me and Meta Charlie did was really nice. We ended up abandoning Builder towards the end because it just got too slow. And I realized I spelled questions wrong on the slide. But what was fun was he could drag and drop and move this stuff around and interact with it and get a feel for how it worked. He didn't have to do any of the coding. And then we shared exporting of the Builder back and forth. Probably 95% of the work was him using an outside tool to make the models, drag them in, and then integrate it with the dynamic stuff. And then eventually we had to abandon it because it got too much work to stay in Builder. But like Nico said, it'd be great if they kept going and there was like NPC smart items and all these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also love to have like crypto smart items, like smart items that allow you to, I don't know, sign a message or purchase an item. But the big limitation there has to do with libraries. And yeah, we need to get around that somehow. That's one of the main things that's been bugging me for quite a long time now. That and the fact that the builder is still using an old SDK version.
Yeah, that's
that is a pain.
Is I have just two questions. We're gonna actually most of everybody's mics are off, so they won't be able to actually ask questions. But if you guys can hang around till maybe 20 minutes from now, then we'll open up the mics and everybody will be able to ask questions. But just in the meantime, I just had 1 or 2 questions that I think would help everybody. But that is listening to this later. Are there any like low-hanging fruit forms of the smart objects like in the repositories that someone can grab and update the code for? And also, is there what would you guys highlight as the best smart items to use as best practices or a reference pattern for maybe how to rebuild the older ones to be better?
So there's absolutely a lot of stuff that could be improved in these. Like unfortunately, a lot of these we did them in a rush and like factory style, because that's the only way you can get all of those like in a week. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could be optimized or improved, or like could add more configurable parameters. One of the things I would love is for that repo to directly build into actual deployed smart items. Someone started implementing that at one point, but it kind of got left halfway. So like right now, smart items are uploaded to the builder like manually through like a special account that has special permissions. So whenever we need to replace a smart item, me or someone else has to go into this special account, it's a shared account, and like manually delete the old version and manually upload the new one, which can be pretty painful if you're, trying to replace 30 in a row. That's also part of why we don't tend to update these as often, because the whole process of getting them up is kind of painful too. But like anyone who wants to do any improvements to these, like absolutely welcome to do a PR to this repo. And like I can't guarantee how fast that will make it into the builder that everyone can use directly, but at least like it will happen eventually. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can see that some PRs are still there.
I have one open right now.
Yeah, I can see
but
it.
It touches, and to your point about lots of files, it's touching probably 15 files. So yeah, you'd have to rebuild all of these, and that wouldn't be fun. But if it's merged, at least we have a central place of the source of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
We will likely we're going to transition to the next speaker, but we'll loop back around in a little while when we open it up for questions from other people, so we can revisit this if necessary. But for the sake of time, unless there was anything else, Will.
Nope.
Any statements? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. That was excellent. We will maybe like to have in the future a dedicated session just entirely about smart items, and also what to call them, because I've been calling them smart objects forever for some reason. So even what we call them would be important. The next speaker is Zoo.
Hey guys.
There he is. You might know Zoo from the MetaZoo. It's a very popular. Zoo, you can introduce yourself. You're good at it.
Yeah, I am a co-founder of the MetaZoo. It's a location in Decentraland where we throw events and we have an art gallery and do a whole bunch of random stuff there. Kind of share my screen actually. Hang on a moment. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is our latest iteration of the build. It's a community effort, so we kind of have like a bunch of plots kind of all contributed towards the same efforts, and I'm the operator of all of these. So you can see we have like different owners. I guess you can't see from this view, but yeah, different people own some of these plots, and I kind of control everything. And we've combined forces to make something bigger than we would have been able to build by ourselves. So this is what we kind of do lately. We've been throwing a lot of these launch parties. And what's something, I guess, a little bit about me. I'm actually I went to business school. I'm not a professional dev per se, but coding's always been my hobby. I got into it back in MySpace days. And I remember trying to like figure out how to make a content management system. I was like printing off like tutorials on like hard paper. It's crazy back in the day. But when crypto blew up, that naturally led into me like getting really into like Node.js and React and all this kind of stuff. And it really evolved into like naturally just went right into Decentraland because it's like all the same tools I've been using for like the past, like,
your mic is.
Can you hear me? Did it cut out?
I hear you.
Oh, you can. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it led naturally into Decentraland. You know, Decentraland's all based off JavaScript and Node.js. So it's very easy once you like get the hang of how it all kind of works to kind of build in the SDK. I started in the builder like everyone else, but you'll see like if you're curious like me about the tech stuff, you'll soon like quickly want to get out of like the builder and like be able to customize it more. So I've been kind of just building like crazy stuff in here like this. There's all types of stuff I could show you, I guess. This, for instance, is like a wearable booth. You can buy them right here in game if you're interested. This is all like kind of conditionally loaded. We found when like I said, we started this place, it was, we wanted to make something really big, but we ran out of resources. So we were looking for ways to kind of improve efficiency. So you see, as I walk away from these things, they just disappear, and it improves the performance a lot. And when you come back, you'll see they come back. Same thing like in the gallery, you'll see, I think we just altered this today, but when you come back tomorrow, you'll see like when you walk in and out, the stuff kind of conditionally renders. So I'm into stuff like that. I enjoy building like Pope booth integrations, which is, you know, you're basically hitting an external API to distribute these tokens to event attendees. And this was like a fun thing to kind of build. Some other crypto stuff. This is like checks like your wallet for special, if you have tokens in it, and like if we have like somebody who wants to throw a party, we can easily change like the address of the smart contract and allow their holders as VIPs for an event. Like something like that is something we can offer just from having it coded up in here. Yeah, so we make this little VIP experience. There's another like Pope booth upstairs, but something over here I wanted to show you like too. This is like a cool thing. Someone gave me this idea recently the other day, and I built this. This was their idea, but they were like, they wanted to make a gallery that just was infinite. So like these NFT collections are just like looped, and like the token idea just increments up by one. So I'm like, okay, this is a very simple thing to kind of build. So if you just keep walking around this thing, you'll just see that it just keeps going up and up and up, and the images will change through the whole collection. So these are just some of the things I like to build. I'm also a big fan of smart items, but like I said, I've kind of gravitated more towards the SDK. So smart items I usually build smart items for my friends who are still in Builder. So I like to help a lot of people. One more thing, I see this little thing on my screen down here. If you could see this is like admin only input down here. So I've like kind of created this little system with an external server where I can do things from within the scene, but only me. And we can prove that with this crypto signature, which is going to go to my external server and verify. 1 second. Maybe my demo looks like, okay, so I've been authenticated. So now I basically created a WebSocket connection with an external server, and now I'm going to send a command to the server, and the server is going to send a message back and activate the lights that we built in here, the animations on the lights. So club lights, true. think that's how I do it. Just start flashing. Yep. So there's like all different types of stuff you can do. You know, if you're a tech nerd like me, this is like your oasis. Happy to answer any questions or talk about anything else, anything I mentioned that is interesting to anyone. How'd I do?
Yeah, that was awesome. It's really, this is fantastic. We have the mics turned off still, but I have plenty of questions. Just a couple. You also have some custom UIs that you've built to help manage and maintain. Do some of those still exist? Or have you...
Sure. Let me down here. So there was like a bug with the Decentraland NFT frames, which didn't show the price. So I'm like a addict to fix things. Like I built this custom UI just to fix the price and put it in there. So yeah, this is like a custom UI that solves a few issues actually. Decentraland kind of routes you to OpenSea, but like we throw events where the art could be on several different platforms. So this isn't a great example, but if the collection were on Wearable, there's like a quick thing I can change in the code to make this link point you to the Wearable thing, to the Wearable page. So, or Foundation or Super Rare, whatever the platform is. So I was able to do that by customizing the code here, and now it's kind of part of my stack that just, you know, I can use it whenever for whenever someone has an NFT that needs to be displayed. I have this NFT component, I guess is a great way to describe it. Is that what you were looking for, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember like there were some UIs to control the lights specifically and stuff like that. Oh
yes, so I haven't built out all that stuff. Like I was showing you this little input down here. I was kind of trying to consolidate and clean up things in behind the scenes. So that's where I have an older, more elaborate build with tons of administrative UI inputs and buttons and things to change things, but I haven't got around to bringing all of that to here.
Okay, that's awesome. And one last thing was you also have integrated it with Discord, right?
Oh yes, yes. Let's change this guy. Let me see how I can do that for you. 1 second. So basically, I've created a little system to manage the state of things. So here is a private Discord channel in my server. And I'm going to basically update this image here with this Club Nights picture. So basically created a little system here. So the Discord bot will recognize a command. I've called it KV for key value. So I'm going to say KV set, and then I need to say a name for the variable banner image and just the URL. Press enter, and it automatically updates through WebSockets. And if anyone refreshes, they'll get this new image. So yeah, hope that's a good example.
That's awesome. I like this. Your property is amazing because it basically does a lot of web development stuff, but in 3D.
Right.
You're doing WebSockets, you're doing
exactly
integrations and stuff. And this is a really good example of, I consider your property to be one of the best in Decentraland. But this will give people someone, you can talk to Zoo. I don't know if that's cool. He's pretty busy a lot of the time, but he's another member of the community that is very willing to help give pointers and stuff, as well as me and Will and a bunch of other people, and Nico as well. So
happy to help.
Oh, be sure to drop a link to your location.
Sure.
As well, so people can go run around. There's also another location as well. I don't know if you want to drop both, but I think that'll be really cool. Thank you very much, Sue.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna just have one more speaker, which is Nico, which is one of the I don't know what you call it, founder of the SDK library. He's been involved with Decentraland for a number of years and is key player in Decentraland. So Nico, would you like to just speak for a little bit?
Hey there, sure. Well, I don't have anything planned for what I wanted to say here, so this will be more of an improvisation. Sorry about that. But well, yeah, I've been with Decentraland for like 3 years now, more actually. And like I started out writing the docs, so like all of the docs you see for the SDK, those were like my first like task in Decentraland, and little by little I started grabbing more and more responsibilities, stuff with support, stuff with building some examples, things that like organically started, being kind of linked to the docs in one way or another. And now I am like pretty much in charge of, or I'm very much involved in developer experience and helping like anything that has to do with helping creators create great content. So like we recently created a brand new SDK team within the foundation that will be finally, fully dedicated to like all of the concerns that creators have. Traditionally, like everything to do with the SDK was kind of like one more thing in the backlog of the team that was also building the Explorer. And like usually, player facing things tended to have priority over like developer facing things. So it was always like a bit of a struggle to get these things prioritized, but finally now we have a growing team, which now has 3 developers fully dedicated to addressing all of these, like any concern that we might have as creators of content. And I myself have been very involved in creating a lot of the content you see in the Decentraland stuff like, so I'm not a modeler, I can't model at all, but I have created the code behind Genesis Plaza or, the Halloween special last year. Right now we're working to create a lot of stuff for the Metaverse Festival. Right now I'm struggling with trying to get some things to work for airdrops and streaming and whatnot, a bunch of things. And I'm always here on Discord. Like I'm always like happy to help anyone out who's having issues with the SDK. I tend to be pretty busy, so sorry if I don't respond immediately, but I do want to make, help anyone who has any, interest in using the SDK as much as possible. Another thing that we've been working with recently was quests, which is something that it deserves a lot more attention. Sadly, with this whole with the Metaverse Festival, a lot of our attention has been going to that, but I would definitely want to bring my attention back to quests as soon as we're done with that. And we want to have a lot more people working with them. Sue, I know you've been interested in doing your own. And yeah, would be awesome to see that.
That is correct. I'm going to start soon. I promise.
Awesome. Then another thing I wanted to encourage you guys to like pay attention to is the DAO, the DAO. Like there are like options to get grants from the DAO. I know, you will, and and also Patmax. Like you've all like like you propose things and you've got funds from that, which is amazing, and like that's what it's for. Like that's what the money in the DAO is for, to help fund projects from people who want to make Decentraland grow. And like frankly, there's a pretty crazy amount of money there. Like I don't know the exact number because it fluctuates with the price of mana and whatnot, but I don't want to like I don't want to be specific, but I think it's somewhere around like 10 million right now, and it keeps like growing month over month. And that money doesn't belong to the foundation. That money belongs to the community, and anyone who has something great to propose and that gets voted to do that is entitled to that money. So like if you have any great projects and you want to create them in Decentraland, I strongly encourage to to try to like get people excited about it, and it might well be funded through there. So yeah, as I said, I didn't have much of a speech plan, but I'm open to any questions.
Sure.
Or any doubts I can help out with.
Thank you very much, Nico. What we'll do is we'll just kind of point people directly to the Discord server. We're gonna then cut the feed for a little bit. We're gonna open the mics and we're gonna take questions from everybody. But for the meantime, if you guys have not joined the Discord, please do. Expect people to start communicating through there over the next couple of days as people watch the video and they get in there. But just go into any of those channels and introduce yourself, talk about specific projects that you might want to work on and what your talents and things are.